Hi, welcome to the garden today. Today I'm going to replant one of the ones that we got winter damage on, and this one here, I mean, it just doesn't look good at all. I will say there's a spot right there that's there, and what I'm going to do is a little different. Probably shouldn't be doing it like this. Pull up that Bermuda grass. So I'm going to plant my other one right here just to see what this one does. They're not the same one. This one is actually a purple bumblebee, one that I really like. I'm going to replace it with one that I only had one of at the time, and it's called Purple Zebra. So just never grown that one before. We'll see how it does. Like I say, I'm just kind of going off to the side where I can still put my stuff over if I need to. My cages, so I'm going to use cages on these. Cages are nice. They're just a pain as far as storage. And I'll show you those there here in a minute. Talking plain there. And give you an idea. I got a little deeper. You don't want to go too deep. I usually go straight down with mine. You can't go at an angle. The problem when you go at an angle is that if you try to drive stakes, where's that angle? Where's that? You know, you don't want to put it at an angle and then cut it off here, drive it in a stake or something. So I'm going to just cover this up, pop off the leaves that's below it. I'm going to go ahead and pop off this leaf too. Then we'll make a little, we'll bank this up so I can water it in. And I actually show watering in. I usually don't show that. Actually, you just want to try to leave a reservoir that way, get all the air pockets out of it. Sometimes I add a little fertilizer to it. I didn't this time. Like I say, this is going to be Purple Zebra. I'll go back and change my other deal. Now, if you're looking here at the beans, I think they're all toast. I think even a little middle. Now, I always think it's strange, and I don't have a reason why, but we got I got a bean here that looks fine, not hurt at all. This one here is completely dead, that and there's completely dead, and then the next one over there. Now that one could have been small and it hadn't sprouted out yet, but it's just weird that you'll go down a row and you have a few of them that look all fine, and it's kind of the same way with the tomatoes. Now there was some variability because some of them were covered, some of them weren't, but these pretty much were all covered with just a frost cloth. But like you'll see here, that one's okay, that one's dead, that one's okay, these here are dead, that one's okay. But as you can tell, the vast majority didn't make it. They weren't covered. If you didn't see the other videos, you know. And like I said, we got some damage here. I think the damage on these, I'm going to pull through with it. We're just going to find out. People asking if I ever clip them back. I don't. You know, I have a theory, that's all that it is. Plants tend to fix themselves. And sometimes we want to fix them too much. But, so I kind of tend to let them go. Now, on cages, one thing you have to worry about on cages, if you wait too long and try to put the cage on them, they're going to be all bushed out. So that's why I'm trying to get these on here the next day or two. I would have done this earlier, before all that wind came up, because we had some that got broke from the wind. But once you cage them up like this, then you can't cover them up really. I mean, about the only thing you can do would be put plastic around and put some over the top, but you know, and that can be problematic too. One thing that I do take into consideration, the north went north that way, south that way, so if we get wind, it tends to be from north to south. So when I put the stakes down to keep these from blowing over, and they will blow over, and these are just regular wooden stakes, I dive these in the ground fairly deep because you don't want these things blowing over. Now you'll see, and then the zip ties. I mean, That thing has revolutionized the garden and everything else on the farm, using zip ties. I do try to get these things in the ground somewhat and come down low to the ground, zip tie them up. And I also zip tie higher up sometimes. I'm going to do it on this one. I haven't tied them all the way because I kind of want it to be in the middle. And you can use wire, you can use twine. The good thing about the zip ties is they're just easy. The other thing I'm going to try to do, okay, I have put my zip tie in there and put it on the bottom, and that don't work. And I'm going to tighten them up. I'm trying to do this to make sure that my wire, I want this thing to be fairly stable. And that's all you do. And one thing I am going to do is come in here with some grass clippings and things and cover this area below it up, trying to keep the dirt off of them. That is one thing that when the leaves touch like that, that's really a bad thing. You don't really want, because that will get to diseases and stuff. To start at the bottom, they move up, especially your blights are bad about that. So, you know, try to keep that up. This method does kind of lend itself to problems with weeding and stuff, because you do have this, you know, having to reach in there and all that. Do not get the small wire. That size wire is okay. To make a 2x4 wire, and I won't say who did it, but there was a person that did the 2x2 wire, because, you know, it's a 4-foot wire. This is welded wire. It doesn't work very good. These things broke off. I don't know if it's just bad welded wire or it's all like that. But if you get the 2x4, you can reach your hand in there and you get your tomato in there, but then you can't get your hand back out. So you have to go like this to put the tomato out the top, especially on your slicing tomatoes. Just you don't want a 6x6 there. You don't want that 2x4 angle. It don't work. Yeah, I did try that once because I had the wire. So, well, I just make one out of it without, and I could, you know, you push the wire back and get your hand in there. That's not the problem. And there's an old proverb with a monkey that was that way, that he would stick his hand into a cage that he could get his hand into, and there was a ball, and he had grabbed that ball, and then he couldn't get his hand back out. And he was so greedy, he would never release that ball, and then they'd come by and take care of the monkey. Well, if that's true or not, that's, I think I was taught in Sunday school. Not everything you taught in Sunday school is true, especially the stories. I mean, there's proverbs and things, you know. But anyway, I'm not going to bore y'all by doing any more of them. I'm going to have all, this row is going to be done with cages. This row is going to be done with cages. This row is going to be done with cages. And then I'll do a separate video, because after I get these caged up, this row here and these other 2 rows will be done with Florida weave. It's a good method also. I tend to want to do my determinants. The only bad thing about Florida weave is once you get it very high, it doesn't seem, you know, it tends to work. I use T-post and not the wooden post, because the wooden post can break. But, you know, my deal is on determinants and paste tomatoes, the Florida weave works best. I like the cages for the other one. Don't buy those little short cages you get at the store. Those tomato cages you get there, and they got the 3 prongs too. It's got the little cone going up. They look really pretty, and it would do great until the tomatoes start making their tomatoes above the cages and break. They don't work. They also blow over. They are good for peppers. You know, they work really well for peppers. They're disastrous to me for tomatoes. So if you're a first-time gardener and hadn't tried that, it's kind of like those peat pots that they have. They sound good too until you actually try and use them, and then that peat doesn't break down. It restricts the roots, and like they're okay if you want to take them off, but then why not use something else? So, but anyway, now I will show y'all. I do have pretty good fertilization, because right here, let me get out of it. See that Bermuda grass? That sucker's growing like crazy. So you know you got some fertility there when you see a nice, good, healthy Bermuda grass in your garden. So no, you don't want it in your garden. And when you pull it up, try to pull it up all the way, because when it breaks like that, it's going to come back. So you try to pull the whole deal out. So, but anyway, I don't have that much of it, thankfully, in this garden. But it is kind of coming in on the sides. But anyway, Bermuda grass is kind of, especially in landscape where you got Bermuda grass all around you, it's a pain. And the only way I know how to kill it, in case somebody wants to know, is tarp it. And you know, in the summertime, put tarp over it for 2 or 3 months, probably 3 months, it'll kill it. Trying to pull it up, you're gonna lose some, and there's really nothing you can spray on it. You can spray Roundup on it at a heavy dose, and it'll turn it brown, and it look like you killed it, and then it comes back. So even if some people refuse to spray anything with Roundup, okay, that's your choice, your garden. But if you do that with Bermuda grass, it doesn't work very well. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.